In this video, we're going to cover some tricks to effectively denail materials. After you've safely and carefully removed materials from a building, you need to remove all the nails. We highly recommend denailing on site, as it makes stacking and transporting materials much easier. You can set up a space with some sawhorses and have a few people denailing as materials are being moved from the building to help expedite the salvage mining process. When denailing, you will use mostly hand tools. If you can afford the investment, purchasing a denailing gun speeds up the nail removal process dramatically. Keep a circular saw handy to cut off rotted ends of boards that have too many nails, angle cuts, or rotted sections too. And remember, always wear gloves and safety glasses. You'll develop a rhythm quickly, but be sure to take your time and do your best to not damage the material any more than necessary. First, we're going to show you our custom designed Pure Salvage skin remover in action. Then we'll show you how to use tools safely to remove materials, and finally we'll go through some denailing tips and tricks.
Alright, these are some custom tools we make. These will build muscles for you. Using angle iron, it's welded together to create a tool that has a notch in the bottom of it, designed to slip over a 2x4. Now in this case we're trying to look at pulling down, and it's difficult because this is a face nailed 5-inch tongue and groove. And so when you pull on it, it's face nailed, you have to be careful about cracking the bottom of the board normally. So what this tool does is takes and spreads out the amount of pressure you're using, how many crowbar, as compared to putting all your weight on this. By doing this, I'm taking all my weight and putting it in about 1 square inch. So that's 180 pounds per square inch. Using this, I'm spreading it out over many, many more inches. What that does is limits the amount of damage and the amount of work necessary. So, the other thing about this one I like is actually if you do it right, basically you're going along and you can take them out with the minimal amount of damage and the minimal amount of effort.
So you saw how efficient the tool becomes. These are the other options, the manual labor and the old ways of doing things. I call this an eagle's talon, also known as a cat's paw if it's smaller and not as gruesome as this one. What this does is allows me to dig in and get, even with an embedded nail head, I can get in there and dig it out. Although it roughs up the surface of the wood a little bit, it's huge. I've taken off walls of 7-inch shiplap using nothing but this in half a day's time. So what we'll do is, there's a whole bunch of different techniques you can use to do it, and I found that I've become good at using both right and left hand, building both biceps. Like you said, it's nothing but a workout. But you can come in here, and if you see the surface, the heads of the nails on the surface here, you come in, you have your little daggers pointed towards the nail, and you beat them in. And then you can come through, and when you get a rhythm, these are all base nails. Come through, there's one, come to the next one, throw it, come down, and you just keep going down the road. And so you do that, and you can see it scuffs up the wood a little bit on these, but a lot of times you're using the back end of the board for its second use that's never seen the light of day other than when it was first put up. So you've got premium non-painted wood on the backside sometimes, unless it was salvaged to begin with, and then it's fun to see what you're going to get. And so as you see, if you put,
lose the back than the front.
You'd rather lose the back tongue than the front tongue. If you start putting too much forward pressure before you take the board above it off, you start blowing out the front side of your tongue and groove. So another technique we have when working with denailing is you've got your different leverage bars. Some of them have these bends that work in your favor depending if you want to pull this way or push that way. This is a crucial bar as well as some of these other leveraging bars that have the 90s, and you've got the thin and wide angles with them. So with that, what Jessica's going to show you is some leveraging technique using a fulcrum and a lever, which is a basic concept that we've had for a long time. and she's going to show you how to get some of these nails that we've now punched through, but it's too long to get with having your leverage point on the board itself. So you use a block, and we're calling it a fulcrum because that's what it's acting as. So we've got a 3/4 inch material here that allows you to step up a little bit, and if this isn't working for her, she can roll the board over to the taller point to be able to get her leverage point level with the head of the nail, which is going to be giving you the least amount of energy to be used. All right, so now that we've pulled all of the nails that we could out of the surface using the Wonder Bar technique, those stubborn nails that the heads are off of and are just really tight in there, Jessica's going to show you using pincers. There's all sorts of names for these, nail pullers, whatever you want to call them. And she's going to roll forward using her grip to push tight the tool. And you'll crimp at the bottom, and it pulls them right out, especially these little guys that just can't be pulled out with the Wonder Bar. And so to show you, to get this 2x4 ready for the trailer, we want to make sure we have the edges cleared as on both sides. That way we can stack the lumber like this, and we can get multiple pieces in as tight of an area as we can. Also on the ends of the board, it's common that you've got, especially on studs, this is a rotted piece, but if you act like this is full all the way through, you've got nails sticking out of the sides and the end. The end ones don't matter as much for stacking. We want to make sure we've got surfaces that we can stack on top of. And so one of our specialty tools, it's quite an investment, but it's crucial if you're doing this for a living or doing a big job and you want to save your elbows and all those other things. What Thean's going to show us, he's going to put on his safety glasses, and he's going to show us the denailer. This hooks up to a air compressor and uses the compression to denail even the spikes that he's working on. There's attachments on the tips that can be interchanged for different gauges of nails. And with a few hits, he's banging these things all the way to the backside. On the 2x4 stock, you still have to roll the board over typically and use a bar to finish pulling it out, but it handles all that 5, 6, 7 hits per nail to get them through the board to begin with. So that is a crucial tool. When you start getting into the thin stock, the 1/2 inch, 3/4 material, one pull of the trigger is going to denail and shoot that nail out of the back side. So you want to make sure you've got good shoes on, you've got safety. The safety equipment is crucial. You'll have nails. We're working on soft ground right now, but if you're on harder ground or concrete or under wood, you want to have some sort of catch bucket that's a softer material, or some sort of cushion that the nails can hit down in, because they can start flying with as much velocity they have coming out of these boards. All right, what we're going to show you now is an advanced nail pulling technique, good for pulling nails for interior and exterior skin on the narrow width of a 2x4 or 2x6 or any dimensional lumber at that, or any material that has many nails on a surface of it. So what I'm going to show you is going up this 2x4 so you can see all these nails that we're holding in 1/2 inch beadboard. So these are skinnier nails. It shouldn't take much effort to get these. So when you know you're working with this and you can get some momentum going, you can set up what we have here on the sawhorse, which is going to act as a jig to hold our piece of lumber in place as we work up this. This is going to be a two-handed technique that's going to show using 2 Wonder Bars, which you see right here, using the teardrop groove in the Wonder Bars that you see the little holes on the black handle of the bars. And I'm going to show you a two-handed technique to really get some rhythm and denail some lumber very quickly. So you've seen the setup, and now we're going to show you how it works in action. So now that you've seen the jig that we set up and the Wonder Bars using this teardrop right here as our nail pulling leverage point, I'm going to show you an advanced technique using both hands. What I also want to show you is our positioning of this board. So you're going to notice when you're taking off the interior skin that your material is most likely toe-nailed instead of face-nailed for a majority of these nails. So they're at a slight angle, typically about 15 to 22 degrees. And with that, when it's time to pull these nails, if you're not taking care of it while it's on the wall, sometimes these are the ceiling joists. So this was the ceiling nails for the material there. And so it's hard to pull those off with the house still standing, which saves you the burden of having to do this in the first place. So with these boards, what I've done is I've positioned this board to where the angle is, I'm pulling away from the board this way to pull the nail out. So with that, I've positioned the board as it lays right now. So I'm going to show you this technique, and then good luck trying it for yourself. And once you've mastered it, then you know that you're a full-time professional salvager. There you go. Practice makes perfect.